Travis, me, Ria, Diego, and Jack. So we're gonna be talking to you first about we're gonna give you an overview and then we're gonna go into some problems that we faced. Then we're gonna show you some demos and we'll conclude with a reflection. Diego, I think the presentation might be frozen.
Well, let me share it. Sorry about that. You see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Can we go one more slide, please? Thank you. Okay. So we got to work with, can we go one more slide, please? Thank you.
Is it not on the table of contents?
Oh, one more. Thank you. So our client, Taylor, he wanted us to produce a source for him to gather potential clients, and he also wanted a place for us to be able to give customers value and for him to be able to strengthen his existing relationships with his customers. So to do this, we had to build a sale price estimator for multifamily homes, which are apartment complexes. And this would help Taylor with everything that he needs to do as part of his daily job.
Finding the right solution involved a great deal of research. We found that a key part in building customer relationships in the real estate market involves building trust. So we came up with MF Value. MF Value is a multifamily home estimator that gives free property valuations for prospecting leads, helping the lead lifecycle management process. Right away, we went out to build our MVP and had a base website and backend setup to show our client by the second meeting. Our client supplied us with LA property data, which we then used to train our model. The multifamily market is continually growing, and today it's the largest it can be. The total market size is $487 billion, and just in LA alone, the total market size is 10.4 billion, showing how large the potential market is and our potential impact.
So to train the model, we experimented with a lot of different types of models, including random forest, gradient boosting, and linear regression. So out of all of the models that we tried, we figured out that random forest was giving the best results. So that's what we ended up using. So we started out with more than 25 categories of data for this project. And when we plugged all of that data in, we got more than 95% accuracy, which is really good. But due to API limitations, we had to cut down our data usage to only 5 data points. And so if you look at the correlation matrix on the right, you see that none of the data points individually really correlate with the sale price. So we had a little bit of like a roadblock there, just trying to cut it down. But we did manage to do that, and we got around 94% accuracy after cutting it down to 5 data points on our evaluations.
So as for the design of the website, we based it off of a template initially, but our direction that we took it was heavily influenced by this theme of trust. I think that is something that our client emphasized. They want to build these meaningful relationships with their clients, and a large part of that is trust. The design of the website itself is meant to be unintimidating and just generally appealing, and I think we did a decent job on that. Here is the logo.
All right, so for the front end, we chose to use Next.js. Next.js is a reliable and well-built on open source framework for React. We use TypeScript for type safety and help in the deployment process for errors. For code formatting, we use Prettier, and in the maps, as shown, will be shown in the demo, we use Radar Maps API to show the map. For front-end hosting, we used Vercel, and for the backend deployment, we used Fly.io. For code storage, we use GitHub, and our backend framework for Python is Fast API, which is a robust framework for handling a lot of concurrent requests. This is where our AI model is trained and stored, and we built an API to make those predictions. To actually deploy our backend, we use Docker, and in the front end, we had Google Analytics set up for event-based tracking. We also had data come in into Google Sheets, and for the machine learning training, we use scikit-learn.
You may have heard that we were at least planning to deploy to Fly.io. Minor issue with that. For reasons we still have not completely figured out, it is encountering some like weird anomalous memory issues when it really shouldn't be. As a temporary solution, it is currently being hosted on this Raspberry Pi in the corner of my room. It's not perfect, but it works for now, and we hope to have a solution to this very, very soon. As was also mentioned in the AI section, we don't have as much data as we would like to work off of in terms of user input. As to not have a form of just 20 input fields, we condense it down to the 5 most important ones, which again slightly limits our accuracy, but is mostly worked around by just further training the AI models. And with the ML training, there was missing data. What's the limit? Again, it's further training help with that.
All right, time for site demo.
So as I mentioned, deployment issues, we have a public-facing domain at mfvalue.com. This is not fully up to date. There are again deployment issues. Hope to have it fixed soon. But this is one of the slightly older versions of our website.
So over here, here's where you put your address in. On the right, this is where the Radar API comes in. For autofill, we have an address autofill that sends a query to Radar API to get a list of properties for autofill. And on the right, it uses Google Maps. Here's where you can input information about your property. Net income is the yearly income a property has, and that's how much money is put in.
Who did the front end for this one?
Me and Diego. Me and Diego worked on the front end together. Yes.
And this is using you said Next.js.
Next.js with React TypeScript. Yes.
CSS
Next.js with React TypeScript.
Yes.
And then how did you get this thing to be so professional looking?
It's
skill.
CSS.
Diego's really good at CSS, and I helped out with some of the form inputs and some of the structuring with the APIs.
Diego, do you have a portfolio?
You have what?
Do you have a portfolio? Do you have a website to showcase all the work you have done?
Not yet, but I'm actually working on one right now.
Okay, great. Once you're done, let us know.
Quick note about this. It is supposed to be showing a realistic low and high estimate, but again, this is an old deployment, so it's not working with the current backend. The next one I will show will. Further saying off of that, there's a contact form in this old version. It doesn't actually do anything, but that is fixed in the latest version, which is here. This is again, it has not been deployed. This is currently running off the localhost. We hope to have it deployed soon. And here it is. Visually, it is quite similar. Been addressed. Some UI bugs have been fixed. That'll update. These would ideally line up with the actual property. I don't have any actual properties yet.
Something that we hope to improve is working with Real Estate API in order to bring in data real time for a property such that it will autofill all the inputs. Data is pretty expensive. We looked into some data providers with our client Taylor, and they're very expensive at about $600 a month. So that's a potential improvement we can try to make.
Here you can see the actual working estimate and a fully functioning form. Another thing I forgot to mention earlier, I think it wasn't that earlier version, but another feature of this is that the visuals are dynamic, meaning that it should look relatively consistent on a mobile device. It's another neat feature that we added. And here's the contact form. Once someone has, or like if someone is satisfied with this estimate and wants to learn more from Taylor, they can insert their contact information and it'll be submitted. Currently, like we said, this is running off the Raspberry Pi, so it is not that fast. When actually deployed to a cloud service, it generally is much, much faster. So this will take some time to load, but in the meantime, I can show the spreadsheet that we have added to. It's, I guess, a bit rudimentary, but sometimes simplicity works best. Here, and it just succeeded. The people who submit their contact details will have their information added to this spreadsheet that the client can look at and reach out whenever he wants to pursue one of these connections. From here, you'll be given option to go back home or estimate another property. One last thing, I forgot to have it open ahead of time. Google Analytics. As I mentioned, this site has Google Analytics integration. I don't, actually no, it does. It does work with the local version, and you can see how the users can be tracked over time. There are a lot of features that we don't currently use that we could implement in the future, so there's a lot of untapped potential here. And I believe that is our review demonstration.
To conclude, by working on this project, we have learned how to collaborate, communicate, and depend on each other as a team. Since our project was changed by the client early on, we learned to adapt to last-minute changes and situations. In this project, we accomplished a working, appealing website that accurately predicts the value of a multi-family property. The website is easy to use and has a way for users to reach out to our client Taylor if they want to know more about their property. Additionally, outside of the website, we have set up an analytics page for our client Taylor to use. Our next steps for this project would be to further improve the predictions by allowing for the client to update any older data to new data and working with the real estate API for live data autofills to fill any gaps that may not have been covered. We'd also use user feedback to improve the website experience as we are continually improving the website. Next slide. Thank you for listening. If you want to view or use the website, you can go to the link that I think is already posted in the chat, or you can use the link that's like on the slide.
Not really fully working, but it should soon.
Any
It's-
questions for us?
Let's give this thing a round of applause first. It's like typically, we would be like, oh, is the website, deployed or not? People are like, no, we haven't, right? And then, some of the ones deployed, they would use, very simple kind of domains. And not only have domain, it's like, oh, wow, you have even, Google Analytics, you're tracking it, right? So, I think from the front end, at least from that side, seems to be like really, really cool. I really hope the backend, can be integrated together. That would be like a, like a perfect, kind of product. One question I want to ask you is, did the client actually see the product? What is the client kind of reaction?
Yeah,
Yes, we've
so
had multiple meetings with them, and we've been able to demo the product with each iteration.
Yeah, and like, what's the reaction?
He was pretty excited. Yeah, he was happy. Yeah.
yeah, he's he's kind of the type of person that like it's hard to imagine him smiling. But he was smiling there at the end, which was great to see. And I do want to iterate that we did have a working deployment at the time that we were kind of showing off this stuff. There was some changing ecosystems outside of our control that kind of shifted that. But by the end of our project, we did have a full working deployment.
Mm-hmm. Can you guys talk about who did what again? So, this is a project that, has a little bit of machine learning, has a backend, has a front end, has a design, and it's quite involved. Who did what?
Yeah, so Travis was kind of a jack of all, or kind of a master of everything. He was kind of a problem solver.
Yeah.
But he did a lot of work on the front end as well as Diego did. Diego also set up Google Analytics almost single-handedly. So I really have to hand that to them. Ria and Lahair worked a lot on the machine learning aspect. Like they said, we were able to cut down from like 20 inputs to 5 while only losing 1% accuracy, which is just absolutely insane. We did have another member who was unfortunately unable to make it tonight named Jack. And Jack did do some work on the front end, but like Travis, he was a little bit of just like a problem fixer, kind of going from thing to thing as the need for things developed. It was a very shifting project as expectations changed. So the roles were a little bit harder to define permanently.
Yeah, like I just want to let you know, like like in Avengers channel, we're just like chat about this project. We're like, wow, it's literally a wow, right? Like, you're able to put this like professional kind of like website together, deploy, GA is there, seems to be like delivering value, for these clients. I haven't really, personally like visualized your backend code, did you do testing or whatnot? But I think this is close, like for someone who's like really early on for your career. I mean, come on, you like a lot of your high school students, right? You're not, there yet, but this is really, really cool project. So I just want to say, congrats, for your growth, for this presentation, for this value delivering to Matthews.com. I think it's phenomenal. I think you should like, take a screenshots of your stuff, post on LinkedIn, right? This is something you did. I think this is going to definitely open doors for you. So I encourage you to do that, but congrats. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pause.